Good evening, FMC. It's Jamaica Gardner. Those of you who attended service last week was introduced to what is mental health, and it was in a brochure, whether you were virtual or in person. Today, I will go more into detail about what is mental health. After that, the end of the slide is actually what we're going to do for meditation on the third Sunday of this month after service. The agenda for today is the definition of mental health, the power of communication, how to find a therapist, mental health conditions, mental health diagnoses, early signs and symptoms, tips, for living well with a mental health condition, and meditation, which is a coping skill that we're going to actually try on the third Sunday, once again, of this month after service, 18 and older, please. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, how we feel, how we act, and it helps determine how we can handle stress, relate it to others, and how to make choices. The power of communication. The person who works at a clear and accurate communication on his or her feelings will find it helps interpersonally emotional relationships. First, describing your feelings help you to clarify how you feel. And I put in bold or highlighted feelings because when we talk about communication, therefore you are getting out your feelings, and an accurate way of doing so is being clear and accurate and concise about how you really feel. Second, describing a feeling often initiates a discussion that will improve the relationship with another person. Even negative feelings, when clearly expressed, can serve as strength in the relationship. So the next portion is a therapist, and ways to find a counselor or a therapist. You can ask your doctor. A primary care physician can also lead you to those doctors. Type mental health near me in your Google search bar, and ask for whatever you want, such as if you prefer a female or a male, if you prefer someone who is of color. You can do all those things in Google and then talk to someone who goes to counseling. A lot of times people don't know what to expect, and of course, the unknown is sometimes scary. So if you talk to someone who does go to counseling or have thought about counseling, then I would definitely talk to those individuals in order to get help to find someone who you can speak with. Mental health conditions. Mental illnesses are disorders ranging from mild to severe that affects a person's thinking, mood, and or behavior. So this is a classification of disorders. A lot of people ask, like what is the simple ones versus what is the severe? And so minor mental disorders is disorders that are not interrupting your daily activity. And so that's anxiety and depression. You could have anxiety about something and depression about something else, and it doesn't affect you in your everyday life. It may affect you here and there, but it's not given a diagnosis. And so your PCP kind of will go over anxiety and depression when they ask certain questions about your mental health status, and they can determine if you have anxiety or depression, and instead of actually giving you a diagnosis, it would be anxiety when doing this or depression when doing this. When we get to our moderate mental disorders, when a person has more symptoms that can make their daily life much more difficult than usual, and that's your depression, but it would be moderate depression, your generalized anxiety disorder, your panic disorder, your obsessive compulsive disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. Those fall in the moderate, and you can get severe on some of these as well. But these are the more common ones that are in the middle that actually requires a diagnosis. You have the severe mental disorder, and it's a health problem is when a person has many symptoms that can make their daily life extremely difficult. So going to work and all you think about is sadness, all you think about is what's happening at home can definitely be an issue in this area. Schizophrenia is definitely something that I deal with a lot on a daily basis when it comes to the work that I do. Bipolar disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, of course, OCD, panic disorder, post traumatic stress disorder, and borderline personality disorder. Each of these are very severe. In normal times, you can get medication for these, but at some point in time, if you cannot function, you will be asked, in this case, to be placed on medication or go and file for disability due to your health concerns. So early signs and symptoms: eating or sleeping too much or too little, having individuals who sleep 12 hours and still extremely tired and want to go back to sleep, or too little. Here we are, and you're just sleeping 2 hours a day, or maybe an hour, and then you're back going. Eating. Is it emotional eating? Are you eating just because you're bored? Those are questions to be asked as well. But if you find yourself not eating enough or too much, and it has never really been an issue before, I would definitely see that as a sign or a symptom. Pulling away from people and usual activities. So if you're the person that's very outgoing, you have an extrovert, you're an extrovert, and then you all of a sudden become introverted, I'm going to expect something of that nature. Or your usual activities. Say that you like to go fishing here on this day, and you like to go shopping here on that day. Those are things that if you don't want to do those activities anymore, or I'd just rather lay down, or I'd rather not be with my friends, that can also be a sign and symptom. And not only can I see those and diagnose those, but your friends, your family members who are around you daily, if they see any of these signs that or symptoms that I'm going to go over, definitely ask questions. Sometimes people just need you to ask. Having unexplained aches and pains. And so if you're one of those people that you go to the doctor and they tell you, hey, I'm not understanding what's going on with your body, everything looks fine, and sometimes they're just unexplained aches and pains, that can also be a sign and symptom as well. Feeling helpless or hopeless, and a lot of times, in a situation where you have a loved one or someone very close to you that is dying and you can't stop them from dying, of course you feel helpless. It's like, what can I do? And knowing that, the disease has taken over and that person will be gone soon, you may feel hopeless or helpless. Suicidal ideation, homicidal ideation, self-harm, self-explanatory. Anybody who is cutting themselves, trying to hang themselves, any of those things, anything that allows you to cut off circulation within yourself, would be those self-harming or suicidal or homicidal thoughts. Now, homicidal is you're wanting to harm somebody else. And that's also a part of early signs and symptoms. Smoking, drinking, or using drugs more than usual. Now, you have some people that do, recreational drugs such as weed or anything of that nature. But if you find yourself constantly wanting a different high, it's a little bit different. If if we see, hey, like you went from smoking a pack of cigarettes in a week to a pack of cigarettes in a day, that's an issue. Drinking every day you get home or from the job, you're drinking constantly, or you're drinking in the morning before you go to work, those things. Using drugs more than usual. So weed is not working for you anymore, and so therefore you go to a higher drug. Those kind of things we try to ask, hey, like what's going on, or what made you do what's normally not your norm. Feeling unusual, confused, forgetful, on edge, angry, upset, worried, or scared. Um, you could be confused about something, but therefore if you get to the point where your mental has been stripped away from you, so more of like, hey, I'm confused, but I don't remember this or I don't remember that. And when it says forgetful, kind of like, hey, you go to work here, you know how to clock in here, and you know how to do this, and there's things you start to forget. You're being on edge or angry all the time, being upset, worried, or scared about something can also be signs and symptoms. Experiencing severe mood swings that cause problems in a relationship. And this is relationship at home, this is relationship with family members, this is relationships in the workplace. If you find yourself getting severe mood swings, that may be an issue. If it's just like, hey, it's somebody that you don't like at work, that's a little bit different. But if you find yourself going in and you're here, you're in one high, and then you're at a low, and then you're up high, and then you're low, definitely get that checked out as well. Persistent thoughts and memories you can't get out of your head. So it's a repetitive thought. You're hearing like voice commands. You're hearing anything that is not your norm of hearing. You know, you have some people who have the gift of hearing God's voice, hearing God's words, angels speaking to them, yourself sometimes, that's fine. But when it becomes a problem um, where your mental status is compromised. And of course, that's the next one. They're hearing voices and believing things that are not true. So you're hearing something and you're also seeing something that's truly not there. So other people are telling you, no, I don't see that man in the corner, or no, I don't see what you're seeing, or this person is not really here, and yet you're going back and forth with them. Thinking of harming yourself or others, an inability to perform tasks like with your kids or getting to work, those things that you normally do, um, and it becomes a point where you can't do those things. Definitely get checked for that. Those are some harder symptoms versus these are kind of like more softer symptoms, but then you have the ones that you really take concern in, and that would be that right portion. So now we're on tips for living well with a mental health condition. And sorry about that little pause within there. My computer was not allowing me to go to the next slide. When it comes to living well with a mental health condition, it's some people think that mental health condition means that you're incapable of doing something, and it's not. Um, Out of a lot of people, and 1 in 5 people have some kind of mental disorder. Back in the day, we didn't talk about mental disorders. And so the 21st century is now getting into that. But you think about the 60s, the 30s, the 40s, 50s, nobody really, when it came to mental health, it wasn't an issue, especially within our culture itself. We're not about to go speak to someone about something. It was more of, pray to God about it, talk to me about it within the family, but don't let it go out. Um, Stick to a treatment plan. Even if you feel better, don't stop going to therapy or taking your medication without a doctor's guidance. Work with the doctor to safely adjust doses or medication. A lot of people do this a lot of times, and it's, oh, well, I'm feeling better. Yes, you may be feeling better, but it's just like if you stop your blood pressure medicine, what happens? It goes back into where it was. And so a lot of times people will, okay, well, therapy's working. I know how to do this. I would ask my doctor or my counselor or therapist ahead of time before actually taking myself off of it. Um, it says the next one is to keep your primary care physician updated, like I just stated. They're an important part of this long term management, even if you also see a psychiatrist. Now, granted, psychiatrists are more of let me put on your medication because you may need it. But when it comes to like a therapist or a counselor, we try to find your natural ways of getting um, your condition under control. Learn about the condition. Being educated can help you stick to your treatment plan. Um, Being educated. is something that I see within there that calls you to know what you're doing. And a lot of times when we learn about our condition, we can understand signs and symptoms, we can understand what's happening in the world around us and how to deal with certain situations due to our conditions. Um, so being educated, look it up. It's real simple. Go on Google, type in that diagnoses, and figure out some of the things that may occur. Practice good self care. Control stress with activities such as meditation or Tai Chi. Eat healthy and exercise, and get enough sleep. A lot of times people think they can function off those 3 or 4 hours, and a lot of times we're not allowing our brain to rest. And so when I think of that, getting that additional sleep for you, eating healthy, and exercising, getting your walk in. I'm not talking about just going and every day you're in the gym and you're in there 3 or 4 hours, but just maintaining some movement for your body, and getting enough rest, to sleep, and healthy foods. Reach out to family and friends. Maintaining those relationships with others is very important, especially in the prison setting. You have a lot that don't have that as a skill, well, and to live well. Reaching out to family and friends who may have given up on them, and a lot of times they speak about that. They speak about, well, my mom passed away, but nobody else cares. And so it's very important to keep in touch with those who you were raised with, and also just your friends around. Develop coping skills. Establishing a healthy coping skill can help people deal with stress easily. So find out what is it that you can do to help yourself cope. Everybody is not the same. So therefore, if music is mine, then something else might be yours. And that may be, hey, I just do breathing techniques. Hey, I do meditation. Hey, I go swimming or whatnot. Any of those things are great coping skills. The thing of, hey, I'm going to increase um, my drug use or any of those things are not positive coping skills. Those are negative coping skills. And to get enough sleep, once again, for brain performance, mood overall, it is very important to get your sleep. And I think a lot of times people take their sleep for granted. Um, and like I was saying earlier, that 2 to 3 hours of sleep, you're not giving your brain time enough to rest and reprogram for the next day. And so that's something as well that I feel as if is something that's very important. All right, and now we're moving to meditation, and I see that I spelled it wrong. Um, it reduces stress and you learn how to resolve conflicts, increase your understanding, gain more emotional control, and rediscover your deep connection. With meditation, I feel like in the beginning, when I thought about meditation, I thought about, oh, you just sitting on the wall with all these thoughts in your head. But when you really connect within the inside of who you really are, it brings out a whole nother sense of peace. And that's why I chose to do meditation with the church as a whole. Um, and it will be guided meditation, so it be like you're sitting there for 15 minutes without anything to think of. But it gets emotional too. Um, the hardest thing is to look at yourself in the mirror and go from there. Like it's easy to go and critique something else, but when you sit in front of the mirror, you have to critique yourself and what are those things that maybe I do well or maybe I don't do well. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Those things are what we think about in the meditation portion of things. Um, and so I'm excited about doing that with the church itself, on that third Sunday. And I hope and pray that each of you all would want to join me in this meditation session. I will also have a sign up sheet at the church on this coming Sunday. And this second Sunday coming, I will have a sign up sheet for you to sign up. If you are virtual and you want to sign up for this, you can most definitely sign up. At the end of this presentation, I'll have a number that you all can text. That's at the end of this presentation for you to use, and also send me your name if that's something that you want to participate in. I do need to know by next Sunday whether or not you're participating. So this Sunday coming, I need to know your participation so I know how many people and how to kind of break it into different sections. So last but definitely not least is the guided meditation day practice. Okay. So we're First Mount Carmel Baptist Church. When? March 17th. Time after service. This will be a 30-minute session. And this is not just the whole timing. You're doing a 15-minute session. We'll talk about things. I would hope that you would love to share kind of the things that you see when I bring forth that guided meditation. Items to bring: a blanket, a yoga mat, comfortable clothing is definitely another thing. So 18 and older right now, I just want to see how to do it with the young adults and older, just to see where it is. And I can possibly do one for 18 and under, and I will have to get with Pastor about that. Um, if the younger ones wanted to try meditation, I probably would do theirs for 5 minutes. I'm excited for you all to see and just feel another portion within you. Definitely when that time comes, I pray that you release. Um, Understand that it may get emotional. Guided meditation, especially when I'm talking and I'll talk about certain things and I want you to bring up this memory. You may, get emotional, and that's okay. Vulnerability sometimes is hard for all of us, and especially the male population. Um, but I do want you to be able to do this at home sometimes too. It's very important. And I think for me, meditation takes me into a whole nother realm, especially in the spiritual realm. It takes me there. And so, just even with sitting and doing those things, I hope that you continue on after this. Um, I'm excited for you to learn how to do it. And hopefully, if you like it, let me know and I can do another one after service one day so that you can enjoy a release. I call it a release. And restoration. It restores my soul to do meditation. The healing process that come out of this is unexplainable, and it's immaculate. The understanding from it, the feeling, and so I can't wait to see you all on that third Sunday. I thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this session. Once again, thank you for your time and your effort. My name is Jamika Gardner. Once again, I have this telephone number, and I prefer text. And if you want to email me with questions or anything, my email is here is jamika.gardner7